How's it going, guys? It is Jaku, and as promised, I'm going to be delivering my Ghostrick deck profile now that I showed you guys one of the matches that I had with it. If you can't see, that's a Alucard. He's just in a ultimate. I personally like the ultimate guy on this one. I don't know why. I'm not usually too big a fan of ultimates, but I do. But anyways, I'm just going to go straight to the deck. If you guys want to hear any explanations on the combos or further insight into that, let me know in the comment section. I'll tell you guys about that later. But otherwise, I'm just going to get straight into the deck profile. I will be brief with some of the basic moves and strategies of the game. Or not the game, the deck. Alright, first things first though. Each lineup basically is going to be level 1 through 3. The level 1s are all the hand traps, the defense monsters. First up is Ghostrick Lantern. You need Ghostrick Lantern, at least 2 of in this deck. I personally like this guy so much that I have him at 3. He defends everything, he blocks attacks, he saves you from being your OTK'd in your ass, whatever you want. Another guy that he pairs up very well with, though, is triple Specters. And this guy, little ghost right there, he protects himself by just basically being a floater at any time. Like whenever one of your Ghostrick monster dies, you can special summon him in their place and draw a card. So he pretty much just refills your hand up at that same time, which is pretty nice. I mean, I like that additional effect to draw a card. That's why I run him at 3. But these two together can basically block 3 attacks. Lantern negate, Lantern block, Specter block after Lantern dies. But yeah. Next up in the ones is 1 Jackfrost. You guys can go ahead and do more Jackfrost if you want, but I personally never really feel like my opponent is attacking me directly enough. I always feel like I'm attacking my monsters, especially with the build that I have here, so I only ever met 1 in those emergency situations, but whenever I do use him, I always like getting him on the board. Other cards in the deck, this is an essential, you must have this card at 3, Ghostrick Mary. She sets up the board for anything you need. She'll be able to special summon out any Ghostrick monster from the deck and be able to help you go ahead and go off with your combos and whatnot. Usually search out Jiangshi for her. You really don't want to search out for anything else in the deck. Now for the level 2s, the stun aspect. First up is Witch, second is Yuki-Onna, and third is Nekomusume. Witch is a Book of Moon, 1200, can get over certain monsters with that ability. Yuki-Onna, your opponent is foolish enough to attack into her, they get locked down, they cannot flip their monster back up ever again, unless you do anyways. And Nekomusume, have her and another Ghostrick on board, make all your opponent's monsters that are normal or special summon pretty much go face down. So this is like the stunning aspect of the deck. So like I said, level 1s, all the hand traps. Level 2s, the stun aspect. And the third levels, the level 3s, is probably the most important part, the construction unit. So first things first, triple Jiangshi. Jiangshi's effect himself lets you search out Ghostrick monsters whose level are equal to or less than the total number on the board. So if you have 1 Jiangshi on the board by himself, you get to search out a level 1. If you have 2, if you have Jiangshi another, level 2. If you have 3 monsters with Jiangshi, you can search out a level 3, or whatever is underneath that. But yeah, I mean, this guy's pretty much just, you need to have this guy at 3, because you need to search into your deck. It's very important for you to be able to set up, because this deck is a little bit slow sometimes. So as far as construction goes, he's your best guy to get the ball rolling on that one. Number 2, Ghostrick Stein. I have this guy at 2 because even though you do rely a lot on the spells and you do need them to go off as early as possible, this guy right here is pretty big by himself, plus with a certain other card that I have in my deck, I don't really think that I need to play him at 3. I feel justified playing him at 2, and I'll show you guys in a little bit while. And last but not least, Ghostrick Ghoul. I've pretty much been going back and forth. Honestly, I love this guy at 2, and I hate this guy at 2. Because whenever I have him at 2, I either get him drawn, I draw into him inconsistently, which is probably just bad luck on my part, but at 1, it just feels like it's never enough, because he's basically a Sirocco for Ghostricks. He powers them all up, and he's one of the aspects that allows them to go a little bit aggressive. It's one benefit that we have because he's a TCG exclusive. And, I mean, I just like this guy overall, for one of his effects that he does. And then last but not least, and the only non-Ghostrick monster in my main deck, Magician of Faith. She's unbanned, figured, hey, why not? Let's give her a shot, see how her effect works, and I honestly like her a lot. She's been doing really well for me. I've always been able to get back my power spells and things like that. She works out pretty well in that sense. But again, everybody's discretion. I don't care for tour guides, and I don't care for cranes. I personally would much rather keep the monster lineup as it is right now. On to the spells. Triple Mansion. If you're not running this card at 3, you're a fool. It's simple as that. And if you're running a Museum over this card, I don't know what kind of Ghostrick deck you are building, but I'm going to tell you right now, Mansion is better than Museum any day of the week. And that's for the reason because Mansion will be able to help you stall better and be able to help protect you longer, whereas Museum, you are just taking the full damage normally, and then they're flip face down, and then they get flip face up back their turn, and they attack directly, and then you just basically take the damage all over again. You're not saving yourself at all with that. It's completely irrelevant. But, again, just my choices in the deck. Spell choices here. 2 Book of Life. I like Book of Life a lot. It's been proving itself to have a place in the deck, especially when I have 3 viable targets in the main deck, Jiangshi, Stein, and Ghoul, along with Alucard in the extra deck. And Alucard himself would just be a floater at the very worst case scenario, so you can recover any Ghostrick card you need in there. But also it gets rid of problematic cards. Get rid of turtles in the graveyard, Bujinji turtles, Bujinji Quillins, hares, whatever you need. Get rid of Ghostrick, Grapha, whatever, you get the point. This is the justification for having Stein at 2, Recurring Nightmares. Select 2 of your dark monsters with 0 defense in your graveyard and add them to your hand. With this card, you're able to pretty much just get back whatever you need at that point. You really don't need to worry about anything else, and honestly, it's just good because it's an instant plus. And there's 3 targets for this: Specter, Lantern, and Stein. Of the main deck, anyways. Specter Lantern, the block 3 attack minimum I told you guys about. Specter Stein, attack with Stein, gets destroyed, summon Specter in its place, get another +1. Or Lantern and Stein, if you feel like you need to defend Stein for 1 turn, Lantern can do the job. But yeah, again, all my choices. I personally like this card a lot. It's always life for me. Swords Concealing Light. Probably the most broken spell in the deck. Flip all your monsters face down on your opponent's side of the field. They can't change their positions. Either basically A, stall for time and just be able to go ahead and stun your opponent's board, or B, set up for direct attacks in game with Ghostrick Mansion on board as well. And staples, this is like just generic staples. Book of Moon, double MST. Staples are to everybody's discretion. Book of Moon, why wouldn't you have it in this deck? MSTs, in this format, without Heavy Storm, why wouldn't you play MST? And trap cards. Ghostrick-Go-Round. I've seen this card be a really underrated. I don't know why it is underrated. This card is way too good. I've been playtesting with it so many times, and it just controls the board amazingly. Like, this card is absolutely boss. And this is how I feel about it. I've been playing it because you can basically keep locking your opponent down every time they try to attack. And the same thing with this card. Ghostrick Scare. Target, basically, both of them just target a face down monster you control. You can flip it face up, and if it's a Ghostrick, you get to flip that many monster your opponent controls face down as well. The broken part is, neither of them target. The way that they're worded, the effects are going to be resolving at the same time, so your opponent can't do something like Dress, or Safe Zone, or Master of Blades, anything that would normally protect monsters from being targeted. And also, Jiangshi. If you activate Jiangshi and this by themselves, then Jiangshi will still get its effect. Even though he is optional because of the way that they're worded, the last thing to happen will still be partly the flipping of Jiangshi up. So that's why this card is really good the way it is right now. Other cards that I play in here, 2 Ghostrick Vanish, basically the Forbidden Lance of your deck, protects your monsters from destruction or being targeted by card effects. It's really dandy because it also includes Ghostrick cards, so MST to your Mansion or MST to your Go-Round, chain that. Go-Round and Mansion are safe, unless your opponent burns through 2 MSTs. And last but not least, and easily the most unfair and broken card in the deck, Triple Needle Sealing. It's Torrential Tribute, but you don't lose your monsters. And your opponent, you pretty much can activate this at any time as long as the conditions are met. So this is a lot faster than Torrential Tribute in some ways. Every time I activate this card, I know that it's a dick move, but hey, you know what? Sometimes I like to bitch smack my opponent when they overextend. It's just fun to do so. And that's pretty much it for the main deck. I'll put a list in the description for everything together as well. And now on to the monsters. basically, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm just going to show you right now the ones I always go into. That's triple Alucard. That's triple Dullahan. Those are literally the 6 monsters that I ever go into in my extra deck. I don't go into anything else pretty much. Main reason, you've got pretty much all your offensive and defensive force right here. Dullahan is all the offense. He gains attack and he can shrink monsters. Alucard, he protects your monsters from being attacked and he can pop set cards. And they're both floaters. Whenever they're sent to the graveyard, even if they're solemn warninged, you'll still get their effects to let you add back a Ghostrick card back to your hand. That's really all you freaking need. And like I said, you really just need 3 of these guys. Anything else in your extra deck is just extra space for rogue matches and whatnot, which is what I have. Acid Golem for the beaters, Leviathan Dragon, same thing, beaters, Levier, DDR decks, Banishing decks, Mech Equip Engineer, Stun for Time, same thing with Zen mains, 54 Lionheart. I've gone into this guy one time, and he did manage to help seal the game for me. That's about it, though. Utopia Roots, hey, if you happen to run into a Gustav Max player, why the hell not? And other things, Slacker Magician for added defense, and Galaxy Queen for OTK potential. The only thing I'd probably maybe add into this build is just Downward Magician, because then their effects of Alucard and Dullahan will still trigger at that point. Once they're in the graveyard, their effects will activate. But yeah, I mean, honestly, that's all you really need in here. And if you guys want me to go ahead and like break down some of the combos that I know for this deck, which I do, it's just that I'm trying to do this fairly quickly, let me know and I'll go ahead and I'll make another video about it. But otherwise, that's pretty much my Ghostrick deck. And I hope that helps you guys with getting an idea of how to play Ghostricks. If not, just shoot me in the comments and let me know if you want an explanation or not. But otherwise, this has been Jaku, and I'll catch you guys later.